Okay, so let us see the neural control and coordination. Neural control and coordination at a glance. Nervous or neural system. It is a system that control and coordinate the body activities, conducts and integrates the information and responds to stimuli. That nervous system include brain, spinal cord, and nerves. Nervous system include brain, spinal cord, and nerves. It is made up of specialized cells known as neurons. It is made up of specialized cells known as neurons. Okay. Then what is a neuron? Neuron or nerve cell we use it to say. Neuron is a structural and functional unit of nervous system. Neuron is called the structural and functional unit of nervous system. It has cell body or cyton, dendron, and axon. There are three main parts in the neuron: cell body or cyton, and dendron and axon. Okay. So then, so let's take a glance look on the structure of the nerve cell here. The cell body or cyton or centron or soma or perikaryon. We have so many names for the cell body or cyton or soma, we can say, or centron, or we have another name, perikaryon. So various names are there for the cell body or cyton or soma or centron or perikaryon. Then that what is there in cell body, that cyton or cell body, it contains cytoplasm and cell organelles. The very important, that is Nissl granules are present. The granular bodies. We learned earlier that Nissl granules are only a reason for the gray color appearance, the gray matter, that Nissl body. So you see here that these are the Nissl bodies. You can see in this area that both cyton and dendrites are having. This is going to be a big question. That where do you see the Nissl bodies? Nissl bodies are present in that cyton as well as in dendrine also, dendron and cyton. So this area, that area, you need to remember. Okay. So then next, let's continue that cyton or cell body, which we said. Then next, dendron, the short fibers that project out the cell body. These are the dendron, the short fibers that project out of the cell body. And sub branches of the dendron are called as dendrites. The sub branches of the dendron are called as dendrites. They transmit impulses towards the cell body. That means the direction is like this. The direction of them is like this. Okay, so that means impulse passing we have seen in the previous videos. It will go like this. This is the way. So that means from the dendron to the cyton, from the cyton to the axon. Okay, so when we talk about the axon, what we use it to say? Away from the cyton. Direction is always like this. I said this in the neuron basics. The basics of the neuron. We conducted a special class for that. Okay, so the sub branches of the dendron are called as dendrite. They transmit impulses towards the cell body. Next, axon. We use a regular term, nerve fiber. Okay, so bundle of axons, we said, bundle of axons, we call it as nerve, but single axon can be called as nerve fiber. Nerve fiber, axon, other name, nerve fiber, you need to remember. The long fiber which transmit impulses away from the cell body which we are talking about. The branching of axon is called axonide. You can see the axonide here. The branching of axon is called axonide. Each axonide end as a bulb-like structure called synaptic knob, which contain the vesicles, the vesicles containing the neurotransmitters like acetylcholine or sympathin, whatever. So that this is the synaptic nerve. So remember these two words, the branching of axon, that this is axon and their branches are called as axonide, and that have the synaptic knobs in the end. Axonide end as a bulb-like structures, we say synaptic knobs. Okay, so that's about the information about the axon. So types of neurons. Multipolar neuron, whom we call multipolar neuron. One axon and two or more, always axon will be one in number only. That you remember. That change will be in the dendron number. So one axon and two or more dendrons. You see here that two or more dendron and one axon is present here. So that we say that kind of neurons as multipolar neurons, and they're found in the cerebral cortex. They're found in the cerebral cortex. Now the bipolar neuron contain one axon and one dendron, simple structure, one axon and one dendron. You'll find this kind of neurons in case of retina of eye. The retina of eye, there are so many that these kind of axon, one axon and one dendron, one axon and one dendron. Likewise, they are present. Okay, so they are called bipolar neurons. Okay, unipolar neuron. Unipolar neurons are said to be one axon only. They have only one axon. Likewise, there is no dendron. These kind of neurons are found in the embryonic stages. Unipolar neurons are seen in the embryonic stages. You can see here that this is bipolar, one dendron, one axon. Then multipolar, likewise, and unipolar, only axon present during embryonic stages. Okay, so that's it. Next, let's come through the types of axon. We discussed earlier about the myelinated axon and non-myelinated axon. So what you see in the myelinated axon, the myelinated axons are enveloped by Schwann cells, which form a myelin sheath. Here actually there is a difference. We said Schwann cells. Okay, very good. But Schwann cells are going to secrete the myelin sheath in case of only the Schwann cells are present only in the PNS, peripheral nervous system only. Then what about brain and spinal cord, which we considered as a CNS? There are some special cells are present. We call them as oligodendrocytes. So do remember this, that oligodendrocytes are going to secrete the myelin sheath in case of oligodendrocytes. Excuse me. Excuse me, and sorry for the disturbance. That what he said, oligodendrocytes are going to secrete myelin sheath in case of CNS. That means myelinated neurons of myelinated axons of brain and spinal cord. Okay, so about Schwann cells, when we are talking about Schwann cells are present in the PNS. Function is same, secretion of myelin sheath. They are going to secrete the myelin sheath. Okay. Next, let's come with other found in spinal and cranial nerves. Where do you see the myelinated neurons? They are found in spinal and cranial nerves. That white colored area formed of myelinated nerve fiber is called white matter. The reason for the white color of brain, white matter of the brain, white matter of the spinal cord, all this because of this myelinated axon. Okay. The gaps between the two adjacent myelin sheaths are called nodes of Ranvier, where is not covered by myelin sheath. The part of the axon who is not covered by myelin sheath is called nodes of Ranvier. Non-myelinated axon. Let's talk about Schwann cells are present, but no myelin sheath. That in the Schwann cell only they get embedded actually. So the bigger Schwann cell, that first of all, that this is the Schwann cell, and in the Schwann cell, these that unmyelinated axons are going to present, not for the secretion of myelin sheath, just for in the Schwann cell, many non-myelinated axons are present. The gray colored area without myelin sheath is called gray matter. So the gray colored area. The reason for the gray color we said earlier, that is Nissl bodies, Nissl granules. Where do you see them? In cytosol and dendrites. So in case of gray matter, what can be expected? A cytosol and a dendrite, if present, unmyelinated axons can be expected over. Okay. So white matter contain only one, always, that is myelinated sheath containing axon. Myelinated axon. There is no cytosol, there is no dendrite in case of white matter. That is very important point to be remembered. Okay. So then the found in autonomous and somatic neural system, that non-myelinated axons are present in autonomous and somatic neural systems. Okay. So then you see that nodes of Ranvier clearly that area where it is not covered by myelin sheath. Here one more nodes of Ranvier. What is the use of that? We are seeing because of the presence of myelin sheath that impulse is jumping. That what do you say that as a saltatory conduction? We can say impulse will jump like this. That saltatory conduction. Presence of myelin sheath facilitates that faster movement of the impulse. You compare with these are walking, these are jumping because of myelin sheath. Where myelin sheath is present, their impulse not possible. That's why one node of Ranvier to the another node of Ranvier, the impulse will jump. What do you say? Saltatory conduction. Okay. So now moving on to the generation and conduction of nerve impulses. We paid full effort here to learn the nerve impulse clearly. Now just we are taking a small revision of this particular here. The impulse transmission is electrochemical. Impulse transmission is called electrochemical process. So it consists of three steps: maintenance of resting membrane potential, action potential, and propagation of action potential. Let us see one after another that so maintenance of the resting membrane potential. Maintenance of resting membrane potential. See this diagram. Diagram is from NCERT textbook. Neural membrane contain various selectively permeable ion channels. That if you remember, we discussed in the earlier class that sodium inactivated gated channel and potassium voltage gated channel, sodium activated gated channels. That what do you say that as with various selectively permeable ion channels are present. Okay. Then in resting neuron is when it's not conducting an impulse, we say it as resting neuron. The axonal membrane is more permeable to potassium ion and nearly impermeable to sodium ion. You need to understand here that that actually that very little information we have in the NCERT textbook here. With that, we cannot understand everything. That also the membrane is permeable to negatively charged proteins in the axoplasm. That means in the axoplasm, potassium ions are 30 times greater in compare with that ECF. This is ECF. And sodium ions are 10 times greater here. Okay. And there is no relation with positivity. Positivity because of the charge outside is positive because of some the various other issues. And negativity inside is not because of potassium. We may get doubt. Okay, so that negatively charged proteins are present which they cannot go out. That negatively charged proteins are given. These details we are going to learn in detail in case of medical that after entering in the MBBS. But till the time you remember, the charge outside is positive. Outside what I mean? ECF. Charge inside is negative. Inside what I mean? Axoplasm. And more sodium outside, more potassium inside. Okay. So that only the thing to be remembered. We discussed these all in detail. Therefore, the concentration of potassium and negatively charged proteins in the axoplasm is high and concentration of sodium is low. The fluid outside the axon contains, that means talking about ECF here, the fluid about the outside the axon contains low concentration of potassium and high concentration of sodium. This forms an ionic concentration gradient across the resting membrane. Ionic concentration gradient across the resting membrane. The ionic gradients are maintained by the active transport. That's what we said. Maintenance of sodium and out more and maintenance of potassium in more is not possible in normal condition. We need to use energy. So that means what I said to you, resting status require energy. And in case if the sodium, if you want to send outside, that means we need to maintain more sodium outside and more potassium out inside. And that we need to use the sodium potassium ATP pump, which transport for every 3 sodium, the 2 potassium, as I shown to you this video also in the earlier class. It transport 3 sodium outwards for 2 potassium into the cell. As a result, the outer surface becomes positively charged and inner surface becomes negatively charged. So then the electrical potential difference across the resting plasma membrane is called resting potential. See the definition of resting potential? That resting potential means the electric potential difference across the resting plasma membrane. That electric potential difference across the resting plasma membrane is called that resting potential. How much it is? Minus 70 millivolts. You people need to remember the resting condition. Even it varies in different parts of the neurons of the body. That we are not discussing that here. As I said to you, that it will come in MBBS. So when a stimulus is applied, the membrane at site A, so here that you need to remember as a site A and site B here. So this is a site A. That site A becomes permeable to sodium, and this causes rapid influx of sodium ion. Influx of sodium ion can make what? The charge is going to be increased, and reversal of the polarity at that side. What it means? Outside become negative and inside become positive. Outside become negative, inside become positive. Here it is, inside become positive. How much positive? That we land with a number plus 45. What do you call it as? Depolarization. How is it happened? By the influx of sodium ions. Okay, so let me say again. Let me say again, we discussed in detail, but when the stimulus occurs, what happens? That resting membrane minus 70 because of your threshold stimulus reached to minus 55, and influx of potassium ion. The influx of potassium ion brings the charge will be increased up to plus 45 millivolts. The electrical potential difference during the depolarization across the plasma membrane is called action potential. How much it is about? Plus 45. Okay, how much it is? Plus 45. Okay, then let's continue. So after that, it need to pass toward the site B, isn't it? At sites ahead, site B, outer surface is positive, inner surface is negative, which is natural one, isn't it? That along the length, what do you see? Outer surface is positive and inner surface is negative. Okay, so that as a result, at site ahead, site B, outer surface is positive and inner surface is negative. That you need not to be confused over. You first of all remember outer means ECF and inner means axoplasm. The outer positive, inner negative in general condition. But when depolarization occurs, outer become negative and inner become positive. This is site A. So from the site A, what is transferring toward the site B that we need to focus here? A current flows on the inner surface from site A to site B. See this arrow mark. This is from NCRT. This is a diagram even from NCRT. So current flows on the inner surface from site A to site B. So I am showing this to you. I am showing that line and that arrow mark. You just see, you focus here, this area. Site A to site B. Current flows on the inner surface from site A to site B. Okay. So what happens on the outer surface? Current flows from site B to site A. Current flows from site B to site A. Little angle difference you'll find with NCRT with the state text here. So just let's remember these two red lines. Current flows on the inner surface from site A to site B. Okay. Then on the outer surface from site B to site A. Okay. So that to complete the circuit. Okay. Hence the polarity is reversed and action potential is generated at site B. Action potential at site A arrives at site B. Action potential arrives at site A to site B. That means what happens in the site B? Site B, outer become negative, inner become positive. That you need to understand. So inside from site A to site B, outside from site B to site A. You are more that you learned these kind of things in case of physics, I think, in electricity chapter. So this kind of flow, how will make the transfer of electricity, that you may lend it over. So that you need to remember these two lines here. Current flows on the inner surface from site A to site B like this, and the outer surface current flows from that outside to, that means from the site B to site A. Okay, so that results what? That results what? That B is going to be depolarized. That means that in the B, now the charge is reversed, outer negative, inner positive. That means inner plus 45. So what happens here? Here charge becomes normal. That means outer positive, inner negative. Now this is the depolarized area. Okay, so it will move on like that. It will move on. That will continue. Like means side B to side C. If you add side C like this, inside from B to C, outside from C to A, that changes here. Here also outer negative, inner positive it will become. Okay. So that action potential at site A arrives at site B. The sequence is repeated along the axon and the impulse is conducted. The rise in permeability to sodium is extremely short-lived. That means what he's saying, that influx of sodium is extremely short-lived. That is quickly followed by the rise of permeability for the potassium ion. That means, as I said to you when I explained this area, that you people need to remember the influx of sodium ions. Influx of sodium ions always charge increase. Sodium ion influx, charge increase. Then efflux of potassium ion, efflux of potassium ion, charge decrease. That is very important. These two things to be remembered over. Now, what is required? That polarization is transferred. Okay, very good. When it is transferred, what happens? So this area need to become normal. For that, charge need to be decreased. For that, potassium efflux is required. Immediately, potassium diffuses outside the membrane and restore the resting membrane. Thus, the fiber becomes ready for further stimulation. That means if I again touch, that the same process will go. Influx of sodium ion with charge increase will be forwarded, and then efflux of potassium ion, that charge decreases, that reaches to the normal. That we discussed earlier in detail. Just now I am going through NCRT point of view. That's all. Okay, then that is a simple way. That only thing you learn, what you learned in this particular class, that from site A to site B, that site A is the depolarized site, then B is a normal one. So from site A, the flow of the here, the flow of charge from site A to site B, inside A to B, outside B to A, what it can make, that what it can make here, the transfer of charge. This is depolarized side. This is the normal side, normal place. Along the length, you'll find like this. So when this transfer occurs, what happens when this transfer occurs? This area become negative and this area become positive. That we need to remember. Okay, so this area will be positive. Okay, so that's it. Let me show you once again. Along the length, positive. Along the length, negative. This is the resting condition. Then when I give the stimulus, the positive becomes here negative. Okay, so that positive becomes negative. Then this is the condition. Now I call this as site A and this is site B. So what they said, so transfer of charge from inside in the exoplasm from A to B and in the outside from B to A will make some changes. What changes here? This area now become negative and inside become positive. So now that transferred from A to B. So then after that A will become normal, means A become normal. Like what? Okay, so we'll ask the line. So that outer become plus and inner become negative. So I'm not going to say that today I'm explaining total. We already taken two classes for conduction and propagation of nerve impulse. Only the new point here, A to B and B to A transfer. That you need to remember. Okay. So the synapse is a functional junction between the two neurons. That is electrical synapse and chemical synapse. So that means whatever the topics here I'm explaining, we conducted a special class for everything. So just how it is there in NCRT watching here now. As we discussed about the chemical synapse along with the animation I shown to you. Now let us see what is electrical synapse here. electrical synapse and chemical synapse. We have seen the chemical synapse earlier. So what is electrical synapse? In these, the membranes of the pre and post neurons are in close proximity. So the impulse transmission is similar to the transmission along an axon. So the impulse transmission is similar to the transmission along an axon. Okay, and that means there is a connection actually. That connection, likewise, just it will go on. Okay, so that's why we can say impulse transmission will be faster than chemical synapse. What happens in chemical synapse? There is a gap we'll find. Okay, there we see a gap. We say the gap as synapse, isn't it? So here in electrical synapse, directly it will go on. The electrical synapses are very rare in human system. We'll find very rare. It's a chemical synapse. We discussed this. That impulse is passing and opens the calcium gated ion channel, and the calcium will come inside and brings the vesicles, and towards the end and breaks the vesicle and release of neurotransmitter acetylcholine. The story we have seen earlier. And is in this there is a fluid filled space, synaptic cleft between the presynaptic neuron to the postsynaptic neuron. That means, so this is the synapse. This box you are observing now in microscope. The synaptic knobs of the presynaptic neuron and dendrite. This is dendrite of the another neuron. Okay, so the transfer from the presynaptic neuron to the postsynaptic neuron through synaptic cleft. This is synaptic cleft, this gap. Okay, here we have some special channels in the postsynaptic membrane. We call them as ligand gated ion channels, just for general knowledge. Okay, so then in this there is a fluid filled space, synaptic cleft. Let me show you the synaptic cleft. This area is the synaptic cleft. And between the presynaptic neuron, this is presynaptic and this is postsynaptic. And presynaptic regions have swelling synaptic knob or button, we can say this one. They contain synaptic vesicles. These are the synaptic vesicles filled with neurotransmitter acetylcholine or adrenaline or sympathin, we can say. So then what happens? What happens that acetylcholine will be released and stimulate the postsynaptic membrane of dendrite. These channels we say ligand gated ion channel, postsynaptic, that may create EPSP or IPSP, excitatory postsynaptic potential or inhibitory postsynaptic potential. So impulse reaches at the axon terminal. The synaptic vesicles bind on the plasma membrane. That sequence we are going, very frequent and regular question in examination. Impulse reaches to the axon terminal, then to the synaptic vesicles, then bind on the plasma membrane. They go and bind on the plasma membrane. Okay, so release of neurotransmitter. Next, here I'm showing with arrow marks here. Release of neurotransmitter that it diffuses across the synaptic cleft. In the cleft, it will transport and the combine with the receptors on the postsynaptic membrane. Opening of ion channels allowing the entry of ion generate action potential. Let me draw the diagram to understand this much better. This is the axon terminal. So here I'll show you once again. These are the synaptic knobs and this is another neuron. So we say this area is a synaptic cleft. So that area I'm showing in microscope. This is called presynaptic neuron and this is called postsynaptic neuron. Okay, so let's talk about the same. Axon terminal. This is the axon terminal. Okay, that's the synaptic vesicle. These are the synaptic vesicle bind on the plasma like this. An impulse is coming. For that, I used a little bit more information, like calcium gated ion channels, especially present there, which brings the calcium to come in and calcium break the vesicles and release. It diffuses release of neurotransmitter, which I am showing in the form of dots. It diffuses across the synaptic cleft. Combine with the receptors on the postsynaptic membrane, this area, postsynaptic membrane, dendrite of another neuron. Opening of ion channels. These are called ligand-gated ion channels. Okay, that generate action potential. That may be excitatory or inhibitory. Excitatory is called EPSP. Excitatory postsynaptic potential, inhibitory called IPS, inhibitory postsynaptic potential. This action potential may be excitatory or inhibitory. We named it as EPSP or IPSP, like this. Okay, so that's it about the synaptic transmission. Now, moving on to the human neural system. That human neural system, division of human neural system. So central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system include brain and spinal cord. The peripheral nervous system includes somatic neural system and autonomous nervous system. Peripheral neural system includes somatic and autonomous. Okay. Now let's see one after another. The central nervous system, which include brain. That brain, it is protected by cranial cavity. There are three-layered connective tissue membranes. What do you say them as? Cranial meninges, dura mater, arachnoid matter, and pia mater. Outer dura mater, middle arachnoid matter, inner pia mater. The space between the pia mater and arachnoid matter is called subarachnoid space, which is filled with cerebrospinal fluid. The ventricles of brain are also filled with cerebrospinal fluid. Remember that drain for 4 times a day along with the ventricles we discussed earlier. The brain has three divisions: forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain. The brain has three divisions: forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. The forebrain, which is also called prosencephalon. Forebrain is also called prosencephalon, which is the anterior part it is, and it consists of cerebrum, diencephalon. Diencephalon include thalamus, epithalamus, hypothalamus. Okay, so let us see one after another. The cerebrum, this total area is the cerebrum that we are shown in many diagrams. So about the cerebrum, which is the largest part actually, the cerebrum, which contains two halves. We say them as cerebral hemisphere. Cerebral hemisphere, which held together by a tract of nerve fiber. It's held together by a tract of nerve fiber. What do you say the tract of nerve fiber? Corpus callosum. The tract of nerve fiber, which is called as corpus callosum. The largest part. It has two cerebral hemispheres which held together by a tract of nerve fiber, which tract. What is the tract? We are taking a special class for these. That bundle of axons. Bundle of axons anywhere you may say. That means in peripheral nervous system you may say it as a nerve, but in brain, in central nervous system we call tract. Okay. So the two cerebral hemisphere held together by a tract of nerve fiber. That means it's a bundle of axons. Is called corpus callosum. Outer region of the cerebrum is called cerebral cortex. It is formed by gray matter and has convulsions and depression. So talking about the gray matter, that means you watch that neuron basics video again and again, that you'll find that some clarity about this. So when I say gray matter, what is coming in the mind? That means it contains cytons, dendrites, and unmyelinated axon. That area. Gray matter contains cyton, dendrites, and unmyelinated. And reason for the gray matter, presence of Nissl body. The inner region of the cerebrum is called cerebral medulla, which is formed of white matter. What is white matter? That contain only myelinated axons, that which contain only myelinated axons. And cerebrum, the cerebral cortex functionally consists of three areas. Motor area, which controls the voluntary movements of muscle. Sensory area, which controls the functioning of sense organs. Association area, it is neither clearly sensory nor motor. Responsible for the intersensory associations, memory and communication. Memory and communication. So, talking about the cerebrum, integrated activities of the different centers of the cerebral cortex control intelligence, memory, judgment, analysis, learning, thinking, and articulating the speech. Everything is here only. It's a big part of the brain. We are talking, our conscious, everything is from this area, cerebral hemisphere. So the diencephalon, which include thalamus and hypothalamus. Diencephalon include thalamus as well as hypothalamus. It is a structure around which the cerebrum wraps. Okay, so that it is a coordinating center, relay station for sensory and motor impulses. See this sentence? We got this in previous NEET examination. So that's why that some areas will give direct questions here. So having touch with NCRT will make us more sensible to answer this kind of question. Coordinating center, relay station for sensory and motor impulses. The hypothalamus. Talking about hypothalamus regulates temperature, thirst, hunger, and emotions. That along with the limbic system we are talking about. Secrete hypothalamic hormones. We'll discuss that in chemical control and coordination. It controls the pituitary gland. How? The mechanism we'll discuss in next chapter. And this is the function. This is very important. Control sleep, wakefulness, blood pressure, heart rate, all the things are controlled by this particular. So this is the thalamus area, hypothalamus area. You can see this. This is pituitary gland. This pituitary gland which contains two portions, adenohypophysis or anterior pituitary and neurohypophysis. Nothing to worry. We have to discuss more in a coming chapter, chemical control and coordination. Then inner parts of the cerebral hemispheres and a group of associated deep structures like amygdala, hippocampus, hypothalamus together constitute limbic system. Very, very important. The inner parts of the cerebral hemisphere and a group of associated deep structures like amygdala, hippocampus, hypothalamus that all together constitute limbic system. What is the function of limbic system? It regulates the sexual behavior, motivations, emotions like excitement, pleasure, rage, fear. All these actions are coming from limbic system only. Limbic system. Human emotional behavior because of limbic system. So where you find this limbic system, that the inner parts of the cerebral hemisphere and the group of associated deeper structures like amygdala, here amygdala, hippocampus, and hypothalamus that are going to form a limbic lobe. Okay, so what do you see in the diagram is limbic system. The midbrain or mesencephalon located between the thalamus and hypothalamus and pons. And a canal, cerebral aqueduct, passes through the midbrain. That a canal and cerebral aqueduct which pass through the midbrain only. That iter or aqueduct is LVS, we use it to say. So then the midbrain consists of four round lobes. This is the point here. Corpora quadrigemina. When you compare with the frog is having only two lobes. That is called Corpora bigemina. Now we say it as Corpora quadrigemina. Their anterior pair, in case of human being, we have four optic lobes. That's why we say corpora quadrigemina. The anterior part is for visual reflexes, the two optic lobes. The posterior part is for auditory reflex. That means this is for visual and this is for auditory reflexes. Okay. Hindbrain, your choice, pronunciation. Rhombencephalon. It consists of cerebellum, pons varolii, and medulla oblongata. The midbrain and hindbrain are going to form the brain stem. The midbrain and hindbrain is going to form brain stem. Like limbic system, this is also very important. Little cerebrum or little brain, we use it to say it as that cerebellum of rhombencephalon of hindbrain, that is called little cerebrum or little brain. In general terms, we use it as little brain, chinna method. It has very convoluted surface to accommodate more neurons, like gyri and sulci of the cerebrum. It coordinates muscular activities and body equilibrium. It coordinates muscular activities and body equilibrium. So it consists of fiber tracks that interconnect different regions of the brain, and it coordinates the activities of eye and ear and regulates the respiration. Functions are very important. So then now talking about medulla oblongata. That fourth ventricle is present here only, isn't it? It is connected to the spinal cord. It controls respiration, cardiovascular reflexes, gastric secretions, peristalsis, that all involuntary activities are done by here. Then reflex reactions also, like salivation, vomiting, sneezing, coughing, that all from medulla oblongata. Okay, from here only our 10th nerve, vagus nerve is coming, which gives the superior laryngeal, recurrent laryngeal, cardiac depressor, cardiac, pneumogastric. That five nerves will get raised from here, going to control most involuntary parts of the body. Then let's move to the spinal cord. It enclosed within the spinal canal of the vertebral column. That means brain is protected by cranium, skull, and this is protected. The spinal cord is protected by vertebral column. Actually, diagram is there. You see this. This is the black line is going spinal cord, and either sides of it you can see the vertebral column everywhere. That spinal cord nervous belongs to the nervous system, which is going to protected by vertebral column, that is belongs to skeletal system. So it is also protected by three meninges, dura mater, pia mater, and arachnoid matter here also present. Then here outer white matter, inner gray matter. As early in the brain we have seen outer gray matter, inner white matter. It is reverse here. Outer white matter, inner gray matter. Okay. Next, the conduction of impulses to and from the brain functions here. Conduction of impulses to and also from the brain. And it is the center of spinal reflexes, reflex reactions. Here it is the cross section of the spinal cord. This is the gray matter. You can see this is the gray matter. And from here, that neurons are arise from the dorsal horn, ventral horn, sensory horn, motor horn, and what kind of neurons these are? As I said to you earlier, which contain mixed neurons. Spinal neurons are said to be the combination of sensory nerve fibers and motor nerve fibers. That is going to form the mixed neuron. So that's all about the spinal cord, and now we are moving to the peripheral neural system. It includes cranial nerves and spinal nerves. It includes cranial nerves and spinal nerves. The nerve fibers of PNS, peripheral nervous system, are of two types: afferent nerve fiber and efferent nerve fiber. Afferent, in our words, that is sensory. Efferent, which means motor. Afferent sensory, afferent fiber, sensory, efferent fiber, motor. Okay, so the afferent fibers carry impulses from the sense organs to, let me draw, this is an eye. So from the sense organ to brain. This is the position. We know impulse is always unidirectional. That means the cytons are placed in sense organ. Their cytons are placed in sense organ and their axon terminals are looking towards brain. So what do you say that kind of neurons? Afferent or sensory fibers carry impulses from sense organs to brain. Next, what about that efferent fiber? The carry impulses from, this basic is very important. That's why I'm requesting you to see the neuron basics that video once again, that body part. So that's it. That means carry impulses from the CNS to the muscle. See the arrow mark. That means the cytons are present. Efferent motor fibers. Fiber means we're talking about only axon. Motor neurons, we say, that their cytons are present in the brain and their nerve fibers are moving towards the body part. Their axon terminals with acetylcholine you'll find in the body part. So this is afferent. I'll show you. This is afferent and this is efferent. See the positions. Okay, so we discussed this, but let me show you what happens. Let me see again. So we said the PNS is having two, the somatic neural system and autonomic neural system. First of all, let me come with the somatic neural system, which relay impulses from central nervous system to skeletal muscle. We call that neural system as somatic neural system. Then autonomous nervous system. That it is about the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, which transmit impulses from CNS to involuntary organs and smooth muscles. We took two classes to explain sympathetic and parasympathetic in detail, isn't it? So then it includes sympathetic and parasympathetic nerves and sympathetic system. It prepares body to cope with emergency, stress, and danger. Okay, so it increases heartbeat, it makes the breath rate increase, it constricts the arteries, and it elevates the BP. It stops the salivation, it stops the release of pancreatic enzyme, it stops the digestion process. That all we said in detail with sympathetic nervous system in the earlier classes. Some of them given as a brief. So, parasympathetic system. It returns the body to a resting state after stressful situation and slows down the heartbeat, dilates the artery contrast tissues. There we said elevate BP. Here we say lowers BP. That means making into nerve. Okay, that are the actions of the sympathetic and parasympathetic. One work against other, and that we say sympathetic nervous system as the fight, flight, fright, harm, that issue, fight and flight and fright. The similar kind of work is done by adrenaline also, that we'll discuss in chemical control. Plexus, talking about the plexus in the visceral nervous system. So, okay, let's move. Plexus means bunch. Okay, so you can see here, there is a cervical plexus, there is a brachial plexus. Likewise, some bunch of network of neuron you can see in some certain places we call plexus. Let's come to the theory that visceral nervous system, it is a part of PNS. Visceral, why it is named as visceral? Going to the most visceral organ. That what it includes? It includes nerves, fibers, ganglia, and plexus, by which impulses travel from CNS to the viscera and viscera to the CNS. CNS to the viscera means motor. Viscera to the CNS means sensory. So then ganglia. What is ganglia? We discussed earlier. What is ganglia? Aggregation of cell bodies, cytons. We say ganglia, from which all the axons will arise. We say it as nerve in the PNS, but individually exclusive ganglia. Ganglia means aggregation of cell bodies. A ganglion is a nerve cell cluster or a group of nerve cell bodies. This is the important to be remembered. Cell body is located in the autonomic nervous system. Plexus. A plexus, a branching network of intersecting neurons. It is composed of afferent and efferent fiber that arises from the merging of the anterior rami of spinal nerves and blood vessels. So actually, we are not discussed about the rami, but if you see, let me give a brief. That spinal cord, as I said to you, the dorsal horn and ventral horn is going to form a mixed spinal nerve. On both sides, you see the mixed spinal nerve. That each spinal nerve gives up three branches actually. Let me draw half itself. Here it is spinal cord. So that dorsal and ventral horn. So each spinal cord is gives up three branches, but we say it as dorsal rami, ventral rami, and ramus communicans. Okay, so that was the depth we don't have, but just a word came that what I am talking about. Anterior rami, ventral rami, we say anterior rami. Dorsal rami means posterior rami. based on the location. As I said to you earlier, in case of human being, the ventral side means that means anterior side, dorsal side means posterior side. Language difference with other animals. Okay, so merging of the anterior army of the spinal nerves and blood vessels. Reflex action. Actually, we don't have this that in, current stage, but a small area that let us complete. It is a rapid, involuntary, and unconscious actions of the body brought about by CNS through sudden stimulation from receptors. That a rapid, involuntary, and unconscious actions of the body brought about by CNS through sudden stimulation from receptor. A sudden or withdrawal of the hand when it touches a hot object like this, touching of the lips of a nursing baby evokes a sucking reflex, the closing of eyelids when light fall on them, the knee jerk phenomenon when you give a small jerk with some object will take the knee back again. Like if child smells or sees some a food unknown to him, he does not salivate. But if he sees or smells that food every time before tasting, it salivates. That what do you say? That is conditioned reflex. We'll discuss a little bit more about the conditioned reflex now. Let me go for the reflex reaction first of all. Let me show you that in the diagram, that we have a good enough diagram, and we got sequence question last year itself. A sequence question we got. So the pathway of impulses here, where they are taken one action here, that action should begin from here with an object that a person is touching the knee jerk reflex reaction here, knee jerk reflex reaction. Just to follow this particular area. So that is very, very important here. Just follow the sequence here. So that means when I give the jerk, so who will receive this? That definitely that the sensory neurons is going to receive this afferent neuron. It transmits the impulses from the sense organ. So I'm drawing here before it show that afferent. The cyton is here and taking off. So towards the dorsal root ganglion, I reach to the spinal cord. Then after there a interneuron is present, internumical neuron we say. From there, through the motor neuron, that excited neuron, it conducts impulses from the CNS to the effector organ. It's all going to happen in the fraction of milliseconds. Fraction of milliseconds. Okay, and effector organ will going to be respond easily. Okay, so I'll show you. I'll show you this. I'll show you. Leave it I, whatever there. So I will show you. Wait. So need to draw a little bit aside that you people can understand. You see this, you just focus here. We have a sequence question. I am trying that to draw that knee jerk reflex. So that means I'll take one more color. What we'll take? We'll take blue. The black is not suited here. So with some X or something else we are given. So sensory neuron, afferent neuron. From here, it gets started. Okay, so that where it goes into the spinal cord. That afferent neuron, what do you say it is as? Afferent neuron. Okay, so you have to remember it as afferent neuron. So shall we write down a little bit down? Okay. Oh, let me draw here. So what is this? Afferent neuron. Okay, so here we have an internumical neuron. That means which connecting sensory and motor nerve fiber. The internumical neuron is present here. That interneuron or internumical neuron we say. So from here, the information will go by motor neuron to the muscles of this particular area. So motor neuron. And what we do, we'll take our leg back. So this much reaction. Okay, so that is the sensory nerve fiber. That means cyton of afferent nerve fiber. Then motor, that means axon of afferent neuron. Then it goes to the spinal cord. There, interneumical neuron and cyton of motor neuron and axon of motor neuron. That is what do you say, nerve fiber or axon, no matter. Then muscles. Very simple. Once you see that, it is easy to remember. So that's it. This is the area. What do you say this as? Reflex arc. We call this as reflex reaction. Okay, so that's it. Reflex reaction. Okay, let me show you. Let me show you here that the same here in this particular diagram. I think you people are able to understand. So with yellow, I'm passing. Yellow, can't you see clear? I think so. So that now let me pass over afferent nerve fiber, then interneumical neuron, motor neuron, and then reach to the muscle. This is the thing. So you can't understand much clear there. That's why I shown separately to you. You see, a person is touching. A person is touching this area, that heat, that with the help of afferent neuron, it reaches to the spinal cord. There they respond, and efferent nerve fiber or motor is that bringing the hand back again. So that's it. That's what you say. Condition, the reflex reaction. We say. Okay. So that's it about the reflex reaction. The next part will be actually sense organs. The next part will be sense organs. Actually, the sense organs.